Bonjour mes amis! It's me, Alex, from Move to France to Teach English, where I help teach you how to move to France and teach English. On the channel, we talk about moving to France, of course, teaching English, and also French culture. Also, before we get started, make sure to head on over to my website where you can download a free 10-step guide on moving to France. I also offer 10-minute discovery calls in case you're interested in learning more about moving to France and teaching English. I can give you some personalized information for you specifically with your situation if you're interested in learning more about moving to France and teaching English as a second language. All right, let's dive right in. Here are my top 5 reasons why you should move to France to teach English as opposed to any other country in the world. Reason number 1, you're more valuable as an English teacher in any country where English is not the main language that they speak, right? So this isn't specifically to France, but any country that's not English speaking. So when I started teaching English, I was an English as a second language teacher in the United States. I taught in Boston, I taught in New York, I taught in Washington, D.C. and Virginia. And while those experiences were great, English teachers are in a high supply, right? So it's a question of supply and demand. If your supply is high of English teachers, then demand will be very low because it's very easy to get English teachers. Native English speakers are very important if you're teaching English as a second language. It's not a requirement per se, but it definitely helps a lot if English is your first language. Or if it's not your first language, you have to be speaking it at an almost native level. So if you move to France, a lot of people in France do not speak English. And so if you move to France, you will be seen as a commodity, as something that's really valuable. And universities will want you because you're a native speaker. You're not someone who is French or German or Italian and learned English as their second language. You're a native English speaker. And on top of that, if you're from places like the US or Britain, that's seen as native English speaker that is very common, right? So you see the English in lots of pop culture or movies, especially United States like Hollywood, things like that. And so people really want to have that native English speaker from the US or native English speaker from the UK or England, okay? So that's reason number 1 why you should teach English in France instead of any other country. Reason number 2 to teach English in France is that you get a lot of time off. So this is really a big one compared to the United States. I don't know how it is in the UK or Canada or other places like that, but in the US, you only have 2 weeks paid vacation. In France, you have 5. Think about that. You have 5 weeks where your job will pay you for free. Except if you're teaching English at the university, it's even more than that. When you're in France, you get a 1-week vacation in October or November. Usually it's the week of Halloween. So the first week of November. Then you get 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's. And again, you're paid the same amount every month. So it doesn't change whether you're working more or less. You get 1 week off in February, some week in February. It changes depending upon which area of France you're in. Like there are 3 different zones actually. And so which schools have the week off depends on which zone you're in. And it kind of changes from year to year. I don't really know why it's like that, but that's how it is. And then you have 1 to 2 weeks in April that you also get off. And then in the summer, so many of the classes will end like April or May. You may have some final exams in May, some last minute classes. Maybe you have some classes in May. It's not very common. And usually by the end of May or June, classes will be over. So what that means is that you basically have the same salary for June, July, and August. And for July and August, university actually closes completely. So you're paid for doing nothing, basically, for just, because they pay you, or the way you could see it is they would pay you more per month, but they divide your salary across 12 months and you only work for like 9 to 10 months. So that's the second reason why you should move to France and teach English, because you get a lot of vacation time. Vacation time is really important because for the breaks, for me at least, it gives you a time to breathe, a time to grade all those papers, like especially Christmas and New Year's. I use that a lot to like grade all these exams for the final exams. And if you have a lot of homework that's stacking up, using that week in November or that week to 2 weeks in April or that week in February is also really useful for catching up on work that's accumulated a bit. But for the summers off, it's really great that you have the vacation time because you can travel and you can take a breather and unwind. And if like the students or the work has been really building up a lot on you, you can like unwind and feel much better and get really ready and excited for the next semester. So reason number 3 for why you should move to France and teach English. Reason number 3 is with all that time off, it's really a great opportunity to travel. Now in the US, where I'm from, traveling from state to state doesn't change that much. You might have a little bit of different food. Traveling to the south versus the East Coast, that might be a bigger change, but you still use the same currency, it's still the same country. You could go to Canada or to Mexico, but that's about all of your options for the US at least. Canada also, you're kind of limited. The UK, it's a bit easier. Australia is also a bit limited in terms of travel. You have to really fly anywhere or see all of Australia. But in France, it's really great to live there, to travel, because you can take high-speed trains across all of France and get to places a lot faster than you would in the US because it's less spread out. But also, it's very easy to travel amongst Europe, right? So you have the Schengen zone, which means that you don't need another passport or visa to travel in between countries if you stay in the Schengen zone, in the European zone. So if you're in France, it's actually possible in some places to even just take a metro to go to Germany, or to just drive 20 minutes and go to Spain, or take a train in Nice and go over to Italy. And so it gives you so many more opportunities that's a lot easier. You have less time to travel and more opportunity to spend time in new countries where they have considerably different food and a completely different language, a different culture, and it's just very enriching and very easy to travel when you have all this time off. So that's reason number 3 for. I want to say real quick that travel really is enriching, or at least it has been to me. It broadens the mind, it fights against prejudice, and it allows you to really get to know other people that you would have never seen or gotten to know. And one of the great advantages of moving outside of your native country is being able to see things in a different light, things that you took granted. All these cultural differences that are really enriching, like differences in architecture, differences in lifestyle, so many differences that are just to be celebrated and are so interesting. So I really encourage travel in any capacity. Reason number 4 for why you should move to France to teach English is connected to reason number 3, and that is work-life balance or quality of life. So for employees at the university, you get all this time off during the summer, the school vacations. You have a lot of time off. For most employees, you get 5 weeks off, which is different from the 2 weeks off in the US. And also the style of life here, except for major cities like maybe Lyon or Paris or maybe Marseille, but I really think more Lyon and Paris is very busy, kind of more similar to New York City or major metropolitan cities like that. But the style of life is a lot slower. Things are a lot more calm here. People take 1 to 2 hours to have lunch, for example, during the middle of the day. And on Sundays, many stores are closed. Even grocery stores, a lot of grocery stores are either completely closed or open only until like 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's because a lot of people in France spend time with family on weekends, especially on Sundays, or they go to church. Some of them go to church. That's kind of happening less now as to what it was before. But really, Sunday is like calm, slow day. It's time to relax, time to get ready for the rest of the week. And taking 1 to 2 hours to have lunch, going about things more slowly, enjoying life more slowly, that's really great. And it's a way to really enjoy life, to slow down and appreciate life more than other countries or other places where they focus a lot on go, and going really fast and getting fast food and eating in your car, and prioritizing work above all else. So that's the big difference. And so part of that, I think, leads me to reason number 5 why you should move to France and teach English, and that is the food. Quite simply, food. Now, I know that food is different in importance for different people, but for me personally, I'm a bit of a foodie, and I love eating French food. And they don't have just good French food. They have a lot of good Vietnamese food, other ethnic food. They have good Italian food because we're right next to Italy. And certain parts of France, you'll have very good German food if you're in Alsace next to Germany, or you might have some really good Spanish style food if you're in Basque Country, where I am now, next to the Spanish border. So any city you're in that you're next to a border, you'll have a bit of that infusion of different cuisines. Again, if you're in the north of France, you might have some food from Brittany or Normandy that's kind of influenced by the UK or by England. And in addition to all that, France is famous for its food, for its cuisine. You know, you have all these different kinds of cheeses. You have all these different kinds of wines. You have all these different kinds of food that is specific to the region, and they're very proud of growing things from that specific region. Like you get lavender from Provence, for example, or cider from Brittany, for example. All these different things that are from regions that you have AOP, which is Appellation d'origine contrôlée. So it's like you have to get it from that certain region, and then you get a certificate saying that it's authentic from that region and it's known for that kind of food. Like Brie is not just a name. Brie is the name of the cheese that comes from the town of Brie. Champagne is not just a name. It's sparkling white wine coming from the region of Champagne. So all these places where they really have the importance and the value in food and drink, and it's so enjoyable to eat and drink French food when you're living in France. It's just another level, especially the really good brasseries or bistros or like Michelin star restaurants. So what better place to live life than by experiencing good food here in France? So those were my top 5 reasons to move to France and teach English. Let me know in the comments below if you have any other reasons that you think should make the top 5. If you want to learn more about moving to France and teaching English, you can book a 10-minute discovery call with me. You can also go to my website and download for free the 10-step checklist on moving to France. All right, until next time, I'll see you soon. Au revoir, à bientôt.